Good afternoon and welcome to this UniTaste Tuesday. My name is Jon Cheek. I'm here from UniTasterDays and I'm going to be hosting this event today where we're going to be introducing university courses in geography. I'm delighted to be joined today by Dr. Matt Hill, who is joining us from the University of Huddersfield. And Matt's going to provide an introduction to studying geography at university to include a few application tips, why you might want to consider geography, and also perhaps a few reasons why Matt's so fond of geography as well. So with that, always conscious with these events, you're here to hear from our excellent speakers and not to hear from me. I'll pass the floor straight over to Dr. Matt Hill, who's joining us from the University of Huddersfield, please.
Okay, hi guys. So for the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, I'm going to be outlining why geography is important, why I'd study geography as a university degree, and why it's likely to be appealing for people with a broad range of different interests. First, introduce who I am. So I'm Dr. Matthew Hill, a lecturer in geography at the University of Huddersfield, and I specialise in patterns in freshwater ecology. In particular, I'm interested in the ways in which species are distributed in space at both local scales and at much larger continental and global scales. For example, the picture on the right-hand side I took in the Swiss National Alps, and I was interested in how beetles were distributed in the range of different small pools and lakes that were in the high altitude and how this links with climate change. And the picture on the left-hand side, I was examining how the distribution of dragonflies changed in agricultural areas compared to other areas. So what were the conditions that were suitable for some dragonflies but not suitable for others? And what were the effects of particular agricultural pressures such as pollution, and how was that influencing the dragonfly species that were present? But I'm not only interested in understanding the patterns in freshwater biodiversity, but also in tackling biodiversity loss. If you look at the figure that's on your screen, you can see that for about 4,300 species, biodiversity, or the overall numbers of population, declined by about 68%. And we're in the middle of a global biodiversity crisis. And part of my research is really interested in trying to understand why species exist where they do, and then using that information to develop management and conservation strategies to ensure their preservation and their conservation. And I'm particularly interested in urban ecology, because whilst I realise that you want to have large protected networks of good high quality habitat, there's also opportunities in those areas to significantly increase biodiversity. And a lot of my research looking at the distribution is trying to understand how we can develop management strategies that can improve the conditions of urban freshwater habitats for particular aquatic species. And as a geographer, you'll be at the forefront of these problems. You'll be developing your knowledge base and your skill set in order to including the biodiversity crisis, climate change, global inequality, for example. But why did I study geography? I did my undergraduate degree in geography, and there were several reasons why I chose it. And I'll try and summarize it in these 4 images on the screen. If you look at the one at the top left, the river, I was quite a keen canoeist when I was younger and absolutely fascinated by rivers. And I was really interested in why some parts were whitewater and some parts were slow and sluggish, and sometimes there was very little flow, and what caused that. I was also very interested in the scale of some rivers. Some rivers were up to 1 kilometre wide that I'd been on, and some were only a few meters wide. I was very interested in how these rivers were both important for animals, but also important for people in terms of their use for transport or their use for fishing and recreation, for example. The second picture at the top, I did a lot of fishing. And again, I was always interested in why or how did the tides occur? Why did we have waves? Why on one day was it the sea flat calm, and then the next day there were really large waves? And also why certain fish lived where they did. So why were certain fish close to the shore and other fish much further out into the sea? But for me, I think the reason why I chose geography is summarized in that third picture, which is of my small obsession with animals. I wanted to know everything there was to know about animals. I was interested in why they lived where they do, their adaptations to survive where they lived, and also why they are under threat and how their populations changed in time. And then the fourth picture is more my sort of reflects my love of walking and hiking, and how I was always fascinated by why landscapes look the way they did. So why, for example, in Yorkshire, did you have rolling hills, and then in Lincolnshire, it was completely flat? And geography, or undertaking a geography degree, allowed me to answer all of these questions. It allowed me to find out why you have changes in river flow as you move downstream, why the tides exist and how waves are created, why different species live where they do and how they've adapted, and also the different processes that have shaped the surface of the earth that you see. And doing a geography degree will allow you to answer all of those questions. But more importantly, why should or could you undertake a geography degree at university? And I'd like you to think of 3 words that geography means to you. And I ask this because the 3 words that you think of are likely to be very different to 3 words that anyone else thinks of when they think of what geography means. And that's because geography is such a broad subject. It encompasses such a range of topics that geography could mean something different to each person. And I guess the major reason why you'd want to study geography is if you have a passion for it or a particular part of geography. So for example, if you're interested in how cities function, or why animals are distributed the way they are, for example, why a tropical rainforest is located close to the equator, but not at higher latitudes. Or if you're interested in environmental change or in the development of glaciers, volcanoes and mountains. Or if you're interested in why the landscape looks the way it does and the processes that have shaped that. Or if you're interested in global economic processes, urbanization or rural societies, or in changes in cultures across the globe, and in the increasing interconnectedness of people and place, or in the relationships between people and the environment. Or if you're concerned with the current issues that are affecting society at the moment, such as the biodiversity crisis, or global inequality, or climate change, and global politics and governance, then geography will be a very appealing degree because you will obtain the knowledge and the skills required to firstly tackle a number of those global issues, but also then to sort of understand your passions and your interests, and a whole range of different subjects as well. And you'll develop this broad depth and this broad knowledge of how the world works and the different human and physical processes. And every day you will learn something new. So from one day you'll learn about how sand dunes were formed and possibly how glaciers move. And then the next day you'll learn about global inequalities or globalization. Every day is different with a geography degree. So it's worth saying that geography has one of the highest employability rates. Geography graduates are among the most employable graduates, and that's because of this broad knowledge base that you get and your broad understanding of a range of different topics, and also the sort of the broad skill set that you will acquire as well. And I'll come on to touch about some of the skills you'll get through doing a geography degree in a later slide. So what can you expect from a geography degree? As I've already mentioned, it's split into 2 components, human and physical geography. However, given the increasingly recognized interrelationship between people and the environment, there's a lot more crossover between human and physical geography now. But on the physical geography side, I'd be looking at climate and meteorology, hydrology, soil science and glaciology. And on the human side, you could be looking at social, political and economic geography, cultural geography. You may look at historical geography as well. And then the interdisciplinary part of geography. So in many courses, they look at sustainability and development and the relationships between the two. And you could also look at environmental health, both in terms of how the environment is affecting human health, but also how humans are affecting environmental health. And you'll obtain a range of different technical and transferable skills as well, including certain field sampling techniques, data analysis and mapping. I wouldn't expect either, just from a geography degree, to be sitting in a lecture hall for 3 years taking notes. Whilst sort of lectures and that type of learning is important in a geography degree, there's a significant amount of other learning undertaken as well. You'll be doing presentations, you'll be undertaking computer mapping, computer-based analyses, but the big one is that you'll be doing a whole range of different fieldwork, from environmental to ecological to glacial to geomorphological. Fieldwork forms a very significant component of any geography degree. And as I've mentioned, geography is very diverse, and it allows you to follow your passions, whether that's one particular passion or a whole range of different aspects that you're interested in. And for example, at the University of Huddersfield, we have a number of lecturers that specialise in a range of different topics. The chap at the top left, Dr. Ryan Wilson, he's a glaciologist, but also interested in mapping spatial change in particular environments. And he's interested in looking at how glaciers are changing through time and those links with climate change. Dr. Anna Davidson is a feminist geographer and also interested in sustainability, particularly in the sustainable use of transport in urban areas. Dr. Tori Milner, on the bottom right, is a river scientist, particularly interested in intermittent rivers and how that periodic drying in the summer of part of a river affects their ecology, the movement of sediment, and also the movement of water. And Dr. Phil Huang, on the image on the bottom right, he examines ice and snowpacks in the Arctic, and is very much interested in how this links with climate change and how it's being affected by climate change. And in most geography departments, you'll have lecturers that encompass a whole range of different interests, and as a result, that they will be able to teach across a broad range of geographical topics. One of the biggest components of a geography and what makes it stand out is that you'll learn by doing. So you will obtain a certain amount of knowledge in the lectures and your seminars, for example, and then you apply that knowledge to real world situations and problems. And that can include developing a whole range of fieldwork skills to apply that knowledge, and using a range of specialist equipment to answer a range of geographical questions. Some may be based on undertaking surveys, some may be based on ecological sampling, for example, to understand the effect of human management on particular parts of biodiversity. You may undertake glacial fieldwork to try and understand the importance of glaciers to contemporary landscapes. Or you may undertake dune sampling to understand how dunes are formed and develop. And then you'll also undertake, for example, or learn to undertake questionnaires and interviews to understand how societies, both urban and rural, may change through time and what may be driving these factors. So the last thing is you'll apply the knowledge you obtain to real world situations to be able to answer real world problems. You also, doing a geography degree, get to see the world, as most geography degrees will have, or a large part of it will be field trips, where you apply the knowledge and the skills that you've learned in the lecture hall, or to learn new practical skills on these field trips. Most geography degrees will have a residential field trip where you will go somewhere in the UK to undertake a range of practical human and physical geography. And also a number of geography degrees also have international field trips. For example, if you were to go to Sicily to look at Mediterranean climates and how the physical processes there work or may differ to the UK. It allows you to apply your or develop your geographical skills and your specialist and transferable skills in the real world. But I think one of the most important things as well is that as a geography graduate, if you were to undertake a geography degree, is that you can make a difference by obtaining this broad knowledge base and these sort of transferable and specialist skills. You're able to tackle some of those huge global problems, whether it's the use of, or whether it's global inequality, or developing sustainable transport for increasing populations in urban areas, or contributing to the tackling of climate change and then the associated effects of climate change, such as the increased extreme weather events, or whether your passion takes you into contributing towards the tackling of the biodiversity crisis, to developing possible policy or conservation and management strategies to reduce and reverse that biodiversity decline. As a geography graduate, you will be able to contribute to tackling these big global issues, and also overall to contribute to making the world a better place for both people and the animals and the environment that we live in. So just to touch on some of those sort of specialist and transferable skills that you will obtain by doing a geography degree, they're largely based in practical field skills. So for example, you'll learn how to survey a range of different landscapes using a range of different surveying techniques. You'll be able to undertake environmental and ecological sampling, learning how to sample rivers, grasslands, woodlands, for example, and also how to interview and develop questionnaires to tackle a range of human geography questions. You'll also, linked to surveying, learn a range of mapping skills, from computer-based mapping such as geographical information systems to much larger scale satellite imagery and seeing how things change at both large scales and through time, and then at a finer scale using drone imagery to see how particular small scale landscapes possibly changed through time. And then through those practical field skills, you'll collect a whole range of data and learn how to both bring that together, but also in those data collection methods. You'll learn how to analyze that data through a range of different softwares such as R, Excel, possibly Python, and then how to evaluate that data and cement that data within its broader context. You'll also, possibly the greatest skill that you will develop being a geographer or undertaking a geography, you will be through critical evaluation. As a geographer, you'll be able to obtain or collect a wide range of different information and be able to filter it through what's useful, through what's not useful, and critically evaluate that information. And once you've gathered and been able to critically evaluate it, you'll then come up with a range of evidence-based solutions or summary of the information that you've gathered. And by being able to critically evaluate, it will assist you with being better at solving a range of problems, because you can draw on a range of different information and filter out what is useful and what is not. And also in decision making, because you can have evidence-based decision making through critical evaluation. And then you'll obtain a range of transferable skills as well, whether that's communication through writing and presentations. And in terms of writing for a geography degree, it will cover a broad spectrum, as you'll be writing reports and essays with a focus on different groups such as politicians, the general public and scientists. And in presentations, you'll do the traditional standing up in front of the public presenting or in front of your peers presenting, but you'll also learn to make videos and podcasts as well. And then some of those other key transferable skills on the core skills include independence. You'll have quite excellent organisation skills, as you have to juggle quite a few different topics with geography, and you'll develop strong teamwork skills, as well as many activities within a geography course will involve working in small groups. But you'll also develop a certain amount of initiative and motivation as well, to be able to complete the assignments and undertake all the fieldwork, for example. And geography graduates get jobs. They're among the most employable graduates going, and because of this broad skill set and this knowledge, and they can go into a whole range of different fields, from development to the environment, whether they're in sort of transport or town planning, to risk and mapping, in geoscience as well. Geography graduates go into a whole range of different jobs, and the financial sector and business management are also very interested in geography graduates because of this wide range of transferable skills that you will obtain. Education as well, lots of geography graduates will go into education to train the next lot of geographers. And project management, a number of geography peers of mine or colleagues of mine when I did my undergraduate degree went into project management because it's highly suitable for a geographer, as they are able to juggle a range of different things that are ongoing at the same time. And in terms of application tips, the key one is to demonstrate your passion. When writing your personal statement, make sure you can demonstrate your passion, highlight what aspects of geography you are particularly interested in. Do your research as well to try and understand why you want to study at that university. What is it about that particular geography department that you want to go, that makes you want to go there? And try to demonstrate your academic ability, and particularly in terms of the knowledge and skills you've obtained. Here it would be good if you to demonstrate any additional reading that you may have done or papers that you may have read to demonstrate both your interest but also that knowledge base that you have. And then finally, any work experience that you've undertaken, it's worth mentioning in your personal statement as well, as that will help to demonstrate your academic ability and also your passion for geography or particular geographical aspects. So I hope that's been useful, or I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email me. Thank you.